Hey everyone, it's Miranda. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then hey, for the first time, why don't you subscribe, become the newest member of the Slashed Squad. Here I review products you won't feel guilty buying and do looks you can actually recreate at home. A few weeks ago, I did a video testing out a bunch of new Neutrogena makeup that just came out, and one of my favorite products from that collection was their Neutrogena Hydro Boost Hydrating Foundation Stick. I got a lot of people wanting a more in-depth video, a day wear test video, so here it is. So I've been testing this foundation stick pretty thoroughly since the first time I used it in that video, so I have a pretty good idea of what I think about it. However, I want to do one last wear test here on camera against the Vegas heat. Most of the time I've worn this was before the heat really came into full force, which just happened about last week. We finally hit the triple digits here in Vegas. So today I'm going to be applying this, checking in throughout the day. I will be kind of running errands and going out with friends for lunch. So I'll be outside, I'll be in the heat, we're gonna put this to the test. So first, let's jump into application. So something that I want to point out, and I did mention this quickly in my first impression video, I am the shade Natural Beige in every single Neutrogena foundation. Something that I love that Neutrogena does is that their foundations, no matter what kind of foundation it is, they all have the same shades and they all match. So that's just something I love because it just makes it so much easier. There's no guessing. Once you know your shade, it's not going to change no matter if you choose one of their different foundations. So with the stick foundation, super easy to apply. I just go in straight from the stick, and I always create little cat whiskers because I am a cat lady. And then I just kind of go down and fill in empty areas. Now the consistency of this stick foundation, super, super creamy. It does contain the hyaluronic acid that they have in all their Hydro Boost products, so it is supposed to be moisturizing. So for my combo skin, that can be a little scary because I don't really need the moisture in my T-zone, especially when it is sweaty out. But I do love the finish that the moisturizing formula gives. It's very natural, slightly dewy, but not shiny, if that makes sense, at least at first. So I'm just taking a sponge and blending that out. Now I'm using my Practk sponge. Practk is the sister brand to Sigma that's like their more affordable range, and I have been loving their tools lately. So right off the bat, this foundation gives you medium coverage. It definitely helps even stuff out, but as you can see here, you can kind of still see some of my redness around my acne and discoloration, but it's definitely more subtle. However, because this foundation is so creamy, I don't want to be building it up a lot all over my face because then it will start to feel heavy. But I am going to go in and just show you the potential for building up over areas where I kind of need it the most. So I'm just kind of dotting it where I feel like I can still see some skin variation. And then I'm just kind of dabbing it right on top, blending that in. So we can get this to about what I call the top level of medium coverage. Still not full in my opinion, but nearly full when you do build it up. So here's the finished result after using the foundation stick. This is definitely what I would feel comfortable wearing just every day. I don't mind a little bit of my hyperpigmentation coming through. And you can kind of see what I was talking about with the finish. Definitely a glow going on, definitely looks radiant and healthy without looking shiny, at least for now, at least in the beginning. We'll see what happens when I go outside in the heat and start kind of sweating a little bit. Now the creamy consistency does dry down, but it never feels dry, if that makes sense. There's still the slightest bit of tackiness if you just tap your face. So you can definitely powder, which will obviously help the longevity of the foundation. To start out, I'm not gonna powder my foundation. I am gonna be putting face makeup on top of this, but I'm not gonna do like an overall powder. I'm not gonna do an overall setting spray because I really wanna just see how this foundation performs on its own. I will say though, straight off the bat, freshly applied, this does feel like a foundation that is better for dry to normal and maybe combo skin. If you have oily skin, then freshly applied, this may already feel like too much for you. All right, so this is the official before, and I kept most of the face pretty light. You can still hopefully see the integrity of the foundation underneath the other face makeup. So when I put this foundation on in this video, it was about 9:30 in the morning. So I'm gonna check back in with you in a few hours and tell you how we're doing. All right, hey everyone, it is about 2 p.m. now, so it's been about 4.5-ish hours since I put on this foundation. I think that I'm looking a little bit shiny on the forehead and chin, but definitely not as bad as I thought we'd be by this point. I went to lunch, we sat outside for a little bit taking photos, I've been running errands, and there was also a point where I was sitting in my car, like right now, without the air conditioning on because I was taking a call. So I really did think I'd be a lot more shiny by now, but I think this is a pretty average amount of shine. The foundation definitely is feeling more dewy at this point though. It feels like if I touch it, I'm gonna leave like a mark. I did see a little bit of breakdown around my nose. Oh my God. The person who parked next to me at the grocery store is like scary looking. So I did see breakdown around my nose where I was wearing sunglasses. I feel like that's inevitable. But other than that, foundation's doing okay. I did notice some of my hyperpigmentation coming through on the side of my face, so the coverage is definitely starting to fade. Now granted, again, I did not powder, I didn't use any other color correcting or concealer products, which I might have done if I really wanted to get this to last long, but we just wanted to see what the foundation's potential was on its own. So here it is, midday check-in. I'm gonna check in one more time towards the end of the day where I will share my final thoughts. Hey everyone, it is now 6:30 p.m. so I have had this foundation on now for 9 hours. I feel like that's a pretty good full day test, and at this point, I feel shiny. I mean, here's the thing, I'm kind of not paying a lot of attention to my cheek area this way just because I know that I put on like a beaming highlight today, but I mean, you can kind of see my whole forehead, there is like a sheen going on. Now, surprisingly, as shiny as it looks, the foundation hasn't broken down at all. Like, it's still a pretty even layer up here on my forehead. No patchiness whatsoever, no falling into fine lines. It's just shiny, and I have combo skin in my T-zone, so that's not something that is a shocker. As far as this area, which is where most of like my hyperpigmentation, my acne was, that I used this foundation to build up coverage over, I don't feel like since my last check-in it got any worse. And I have been kind of running around the house, the air conditioner has been off, and I was even cooking at the oven, so I was kind of getting a little bit warm. So overall, the fact that this started out as a slightly dewy foundation and I have combo skin, it held in there pretty well. Now, I will say that when the weather was a little bit more mild, when I was a little bit less sweaty, this foundation fared really, really well. It was the only foundation I brought with me on my trip to Canada. I was wearing it for 12 hours a day, and while I did experience some of the same fading around my hyperpigmentation, I wasn't getting as shiny as I am today. So I feel like this foundation can work really, really well with some people in some climates, and for others, it's gonna be a complete skip. If you have normal to dry skin, if your climate's a little bit more mild, this could be like the perfect stick on the go foundation. If you have oily skin, if you live in a very humid climate, if you just live in a very hot climate and you're a sweater, might not be the best foundation pick for you if you really want long wear and consistent wear. As for combo skin girls like myself, I think it really just depends. It depends on your skin, depends on how imbalanced you are, because this foundation feels very comfortable. Actually, it just feels comfortable all over, even in the shiny areas. I don't feel heavy, or I don't feel the product on my face, but especially in my normal areas, which are basically my cheeks, the perimeter of my face, this feels good. So I think it's one of those things you just have to try for yourself, but do so with the knowledge that if you get really oily in your T-zone, you're probably gonna have to powder. Overall, I really like stick foundations and I like this formula. I think it does blend onto the skin really well. I love the finish. But if I were to continue to wear it during summertime, I'm definitely going to need to powder, blot, and potentially add a little bit of concealer if I want to cover up some more prominent problem areas. Let me know, do you think this foundation would work for you? Why or why not? Leave it in the comments below. And I'd also love to hear in the comments what foundation is working really, really well for you this summer. All right, everyone, if you like these day wear tests, hit the thumbs up to let me know to do more. Also, starting next week, I'm gonna be shouting out some of my subscribers and Instagram followers. In every video, I'll choose one /squad member to feature and say hi to on camera. So be sure you're following me over on Instagram as well. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, become the newest member of the /squad. If you've done both those things, then high five, but have you hit the bell icon so you know every time a new video goes live? Engage with this video in any way to make sure that this face stays on your subscription page. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!